This is the Editor's Half Hour. Step into the life of an editor for 30 minutes as we discuss the craft of editing, industry trends, and editorial resources. Your host is co-founder and CEO of Peak Publishing Inc., Nadia Jaja Pupa. She is experienced in all facets of the publishing industry, from editing to design, and works with corporate clients and self-published authors. Nadia and her guests are about to share powerful insights and stories on what it takes to be an editor. And this is your host, Nadia Jaja Pupa.
Welcome, listeners, to the Editor's Half Hour. We are just days away from the big ACES conference, and I am so excited. I am sending out some messages, so look into your inbox for an email from me. It will have a little password. You have to come find me at ACES. I will have a booth. Give me the little secret password and I will have a little goodie bag for you. So definitely come visit me. Introduce yourself to me. I want to meet my listeners. It's such a big deal for me to talk to my listeners. So yes, very exciting. I will be posting things on social media, probably while I'm at the conference. But if you are not familiar with ACES, look it up. It's probably one of the biggest editorial conferences. Editors come in from everywhere. So it's going to be great. Some other news. I have my newsletter. That's a big topic of the podcast episode today. So definitely subscribe. I will have a link for that in the show notes. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to put together a newsletter. And I can't wait to share my personal journey about that in this episode. And my last announcement is to consider joining my Patreon for the cost of a cup of coffee once a month. You could be a true supporter of the podcast so that I can continue my efforts to bring in the best editors I can and to cover what's relevant, what's trending, and information to help other editors out there, whether you're a freelancer or full-time staffer. We do all types of things. So let's not waste any more time. I would love to introduce Colleen Newvine. Colleen is my special guest for this episode because we met at ACES. We really hit it off right away. You know, sometimes you meet certain people and you just click. And that's what it felt like when I met Colleen. She's such a wonderful human, wonderful person. So welcome, Colleen. I'm so happy to have you here. Please introduce yourself. Tell the listeners what you do. And then we're going to just dive right in.
I can't wait to dive right in. Hi, I'm excited to be here. I do multiple things. The main reason I'm here is I am both a marketing consultant specializing in small organizations and self-employed people. And I'm also a life and career coach. And so I feel like the nexus of those two things is a lot of what we're going to talk about today. So both the how do you market and promote yourself as a freelancer, and how do you feel better about promoting yourself, and how do you do that in a way that aligns with what success feels like to you?
So I have to share with listeners that is how we actually connected. You know, we're just making small talk when I first met you. And I at the time was so adamantly against the idea of a newsletter. I thought, no way am I ever going to do that. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to, ask for anything from anyone. I would rather just put information out there, like through the podcast or socials or whatever, and not do a newsletter. I feel like it can be cringy. I get newsletters that I don't even sign up for people selling services I don't need. And I don't want to be like that. And I don't know what made me say it, but I said it, and Colleen was like, "You're talking to the wrong person about this." And so she gives me her card and she goes, "Let's connect. I'm going to change your mind about this." And I'm so glad that you did. But it was tough. You know, as editors, it's hard for us to be markety, or we don't like to self-promote it. We don't want to send the wrong message about certain things. But ironically, that's what we have to do if we're freelancers or if we're running a business. But before we get into that stuff, why don't we talk about how you got to this point, Colleen? How you knew that you were good at what you do. Just share a little bit about maybe your career path or, your expertise in marketing. I think it'll be helpful for the listeners to hear this.
Sure. Yeah. And that part about knowing that you're good at what you do.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that later too, right? We'll get to the imposter syndrome part.
Oh, yeah.
But sort of, my evolution in my career path. I started out as a reporter literally on my elementary school newspaper. I go way back. Elementary school newspaper, high school newspaper, college newspaper. Then I was a reporter and editor at daily, weekly, and monthly publications before kind of hitting this point of realizing there was this thing called the internet happening. And I wasn't sure, I saw a lot of nervousness and panic in the news industry, and I wasn't sure what the answer was, but I wanted to try and help figure out that answer. So I went and got my MBA, emphasis in marketing and corporate strategy. From there, got a job at the Associated Press working in marketing and corporate strategy. And that's been the path of sort of combining the storytelling background, reporting, telling stories, synthesizing information with an understanding of marketing and corporate strategy, and then began to put that to work serving small organizations and solopreneurs, the kinds of folks who couldn't afford to hire a big agency. I like working with the small organization where I'm going to get to work directly with that owner, with the person who's got their boots on the ground.
And that's exactly what you did with me. So Colleen, we had, I think it was 12 sessions. The two of us met, we had sessions, and she really walked me through that process, figuring out who I am. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my company? What is my message? Who do I really want to connect with? And how do I connect with those people? And it was so, so valuable for me. I always looked forward to our sessions, even if I felt unprepared or I said I would get these things accomplished, but I never did. And I showed up anyway. And I think just your whole vibe, you were so encouraging. And so that's how we really got to know each other, were in these sessions. And I think after they ended, I thought, I got to cover this on the podcast because I know I'm not the only one who struggles with this. I've heard other editors
Absolutely
say it.
Not.
So let's get into this whole thing of not feeling inadequate. It's more just feeling like an imposition to say, subscribe to my newsletter, that feeling of getting somebody to connect with you, in a different way that's not in person. It just feels cringy. And I kept saying that in our sessions, and you really helped me figure out how to work through that. What was causing me to feel cringy? Why do we feel cringy? Is it that people who are naturally introverted feel cringy? I mean, there's so much there. There's so many layers there that prevent us from putting ourselves out there. So let's get into it, Colleen. You just figure, you're like so good at just like picking it out, like right there, like that's what it is. Tell the listeners about your genius in helping editors get over it.
Pressure, just be genius, go. This experience is so common. And so, this is really where our conversation started, is if you feel resistance, if you feel uncomfortable self-promoting, you're so not alone. And when I started out with my own consulting work, like most people, I like doing the work. I'm not as fond of selling the work. I didn't want to be pushy, aggressive. I didn't want to get rejected, like all of these things that felt unpleasant. I worked with a sales coach who, one of the many great insights he gave me is, we all like to buy. We just don't want to be sold to. And that feels like we're playing a semantics game. But if you think about like walking into your favorite wine shop, if someone who's knowledgeable helps you find the thing, that bottle you're going to take to your friend's dinner party so that you feel good about your purchase, that's helpful. If someone like pounces on you at the door and tries to push you into spending twice as much as you meant to, that feels gross. So
Right.
if instinctively we know the difference between someone helping us make a purchase that we wanted or needed to make versus disregarding our wants and needs, aggressively trying to get into our wallet, that's the difference.
Yeah.
And so trying to help clients stay in that place of, are you helping your client? Are you getting their problems solved? Are you getting their needs met? Are you meeting them at the point where it's a purchase they want to make instead of trying to sell to them?
Yeah. And I think you're spot on. I think just in what you said, that editors enjoy the work. You know, we all do. We love to dive into a manuscript or a big project. And as nerdy as it is, we love to build style sheets. That's our thing, you know? And I think that is the honest to goodness truth, is we thrive and we do well in the work. But then when it's working on the business and putting ourselves out there, that's where it becomes very daunting.
And that's not exclusive to editors either. I mean, I have clients across industries, and I mean, whether it's someone who runs an independent grocery store, a musician, an artist, a market researcher, a yoga teacher, people didn't choose that profession because they're so excited about self-promoting. They want to do the thing. And the self-promotion feels like it's a distraction from the thing that they're really good at. I mean,
Right.
it's a common experience.
So how do we do this? How can an editor give us some tips? What can an editor do to get out of their heads and put themselves out there? I still feel a little cringy at the idea of like posting a selfie. I haven't done it. I'll post graphics of the podcast. Sometimes I'll share a photo, but it's not quite a selfie of just me. It'll be a photo with me and someone else, or an Eddie buddy. I'll post those, but just myself. I don't put my personal life out there. I'm pretty private about my personal life just because I'm shy. It feels very vulnerable to put yourself out there. And I remember saying that in one of our sessions, and you were just silently going like this, shaking your head. You're like, it's okay to post a selfie here and there. But let's talk about being authentic. I want to hear what are some ways that editors can promote their businesses in an authentic way, because there's a big difference.
So I think it starts with a mindset shift. So, years ago, I heard from, this marketing newsletter that I subscribed to from Chris Brogan. He had this story about if you were standing on a dock and you looked out and you saw that someone was drowning, and you were standing there on the dock holding a life preserver, would you feel like a jerk to say, hey, I've got this life preserver, would you like it? Or would you feel like a jerk if you kept it to yourself and walked away?
Right. Yeah. That's a really
So
good one.
if you remind yourself that as an editor, you are offering a solution that's helpful. I mean, doing the kinds of things that editors do to make that content look smart and clean and polished, that's magic. to so many people. They don't have those skills. That's the life preserver that's going to make that content area expert look smarter and feel more confident about putting their content out in the world. So if you can come to promoting yourself from a place of, I have a solution to a problem. I'm going to offer help to you versus I'm here to be pushy. I'm here to be salesy. I'm here to interrupt and bother you. But that mindset of I'm here to save you from flailing around in the water and wishing that you knew where the comma went.
Yeah. See, I love that you said that, because when I do see, and I follow so many editors, we're all connected, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, I'll see their posts and they put out a lot of very helpful things, grammar and punctuation tips, techniques. If they're speaking to their audience, let's say their clients are primarily fiction writers, they'll put out some information about specific tropes in fiction. And it's so great to see that. And I think those are the editors who I love following. They're so spot on. It's like they figured it out. They know what to post. But what can we say to the editor who's just sitting there overwhelmed? Like, what do I post? What can I share? Do you have any ideas? Just some fun, easy ideas for them that makes them feel unique. It's still unique and authentic, but it should feel good for them to put and share that information out there.
Yeah. I mean, let me start with that very end of the question that you asked about feeling good about it.
Yeah.
It's okay if you get started and you feel a little wobbly. Like anytime you're doing something new, Brene Brown gave me this phrase that I borrow all the time about how like new things feel wobbly. It takes a while. I started roller skating again in my 50s and my ankles, like I looked like a baby deer because I needed to strengthen those ankle muscles.
Right.
Like it's okay if it doesn't feel great at first. Like it takes practice. So I think one of the things about getting started is not stopping just because something makes you a little nervous or makes you feel a little intimidated or you aren't sure. That's okay. If you're a beginning roller skater, you're going to fall once in a while and you just keep going.
I love it.
But getting started, like anything, takes practice. So do something. If the first one isn't great, do it again.
That's so encouraging. It is so encouraging. I mean, really, and that's the vibe right there of what I experienced in my sessions with you. And you were so encouraging and you made it feel, everything always felt within reach when I talked to you. But before our sessions, I was always like getting all overwhelmed and I don't know and freaking out. And what am I going to write? So let's get into the newsletters, right? Let's talk about what can we share? How can we be a little more laser focused in our messaging? We as in editors or all types of freelancers, really, how can freelancers who are solopreneurs, they're a one person show or shop. How can we get over that hurdle? How can we start with a newsletter? Because I can share my personal experience, which was, again, very daunting. I was very intimidated because I'm reaching out to my people in my industry for the podcast. And I was like, how do I do this, Colleen? I don't know what to say. And it wasn't that you told me what to say. You just showed me possibilities. And you really were great at focusing on what is my message? Who am I trying to connect to? Who am I trying to connect with? So share a little bit about that too, on how you shaped like you said, or you already mentioned this earlier about that mindset, but let's get a little deeper into that with the newsletters and why it feels so cringy at first or overwhelming before you dive in.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all experienced marketing that's pushy, aggressive, extractive. It feels very focused on the needs of the person doing the selling and not on what you want as a recipient. And so, if you are a person who cares about relationships, of course you don't want to do that. You don't want to be an imposition. All of that. So I think starting from a place of that's a model for marketing, but it's not the only model for marketing. So check out the Instagram of someone who every time you see a post, you can't wait to read it. Every time you get that person's newsletter, you get something really beneficial from it. When that person posts on LinkedIn, you can't wait to comment. Notice that there are plenty of people putting their message out there in a way that makes you lean in instead of like, oh gosh, it's pushy, that's extractive, that's all of those other things. That's not the only way. So one thing I would encourage is just notice whose content gets you excited, makes you feel seen, makes you want more, and maybe even make some notes about what is it about that feels good, sounds good, gets your attention. Because when you're learning to play piano, you start out playing your scales and playing other people's music. Like, take the lessons from those other people who are doing it in a way that gets your interest. So that's one place to start.
That is such good advice. I mean, it feels like, again, you always you just break it down. You always simplify it, which I so much appreciate because it's like a small thing that we can do to just break out of that comfort zone. And like you said earlier, it's not always going to feel comfortable, or it might not feel good, quote unquote, air quotes, good in a sense of like comfortable, like, oh yeah, I do this all the time. It's going to feel a little daunting at first, but that's a great way to, like, one small thing is just taking those notes on what you see out there. Cause I see so much great stuff. They've got those, Canva makes it so easy to create graphics. Editors are creating their own graphics and the scrolling things, and they're putting them up on Instagram, and that gets so much engagement. I love seeing those. So let's talk about just marketing in general. What is happening in the marketing world? You know more than anybody who's listening to the podcast, primarily, I'm hoping, our editors. But again, this topic transcends beyond the editorial world. But in marketing in general, what are some exciting things happening? What is your outlook for the future? Are any interesting things you can share or trends that you can share? For editors, what are you seeing? What should you've got your finger on the pulse,
Wow.
What can we do?
So I'm going to be a little bit contrarian. So often when marketing clients come to me, it's because they are stressed out about the next new thing. Oh my gosh, do I need to have a TikTok? Right. Do I need to do a podcast? What do I need to know about AI? And nobody goes to an architect and says, I'd like a hammer. You go to an architect and say, I would like a extra bathroom on the back of the house, or, I'd like you to build me a vacation home. And so I think we can get distracted by the how, by the technology, and forget to come back to the basics. Who's my ideal client? What are their problems? Where are they hanging out? Is my ideal client even on TikTok, or are they over on LinkedIn? Do they who do you want to talk to? Where are they? What are the questions that they ask you? what's the life preserver that you're holding that they need? And
That's so good.
if you keep the focus on that, then you can decide, do I need a hammer? Do I need a saw? Do I need a tape measure? Those are details. Focus over here on the what you're doing and why.
Oh, that's so good. See, that is so genius. To me, it's like, yes, it's so eye-opening to hear that and put in that way. And I remember when I thought my ideal clients, who I thought they were. And then after talking to you in our sessions, you helped me discover that they are actually editors. Those are the people who end up becoming my clients, not editors who are publishing books. You know, I do work with authors, but when you open my eyes, cause you didn't ask me, okay, who's your ideal client? Or you didn't say, oh, who do you need to reach? You asked me a lot of questions that were so eye-opening, where you said, tell me about your favorite client, or tell me about your favorite. And my favorite clients are editors who work in corporate situations or nonprofits, academic institutions, and they are by themselves. And they have a budget. They can outsource, they can connect, they can bring in another editor, another vendor, a company like my company. And those are the best clients. We get each other. I don't have to explain to them. They're a lead editor. They're an editor in chief. They don't need to ask me about what's copy editing. What are the different levels? They know what I can do. So we understand each other. There's a mutual understanding. And so, when you brought my eyes, you just opened my eyes to the fact that other editors, that's who I'm trying to reach. And I'm like, well, it's a good thing I have the Editor's Half Hour podcast. But it was one of those moments where I did the Keanu Reeves, like, whoa, from like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, when we were done with our session. And I was like, holy crap, that's who I'm talking to. And I didn't even realize. And I want to attract those people to my company. And yeah, that was because of you, Colleen. I just love the advice that you shared, because it was, again, simple, but profound, really, really profound. So I always say this in my episodes, I don't like wrapping them up because we could keep going for another hour. But let's wrap it up. I would love for you to share some words of advice and words of encouragement, looking back on your professional journey, what you wish that maybe you had received earlier, anything that you can share to the listeners that will encourage them to put themselves out there a little more, for the freelancer.
Yeah. So, boy, I feel like I could do another whole half hour on all of those good questions, but I'll try and keep it brief.
Okay.
So everybody I have worked with as a marketing client, struggles with some aspect of marketing. Either the technology is frustrating or new to them, or they're trying to do the work of 3 people and there's not enough time, or they aren't a natural writer, then they need an editor. But so if there's some part of it that doesn't feel easy to you, you're not alone. So, I mean, that's really the first part. Like, there's nothing wrong with you as a business owner, as a freelancer, if there's some aspect of your business that you find challenging. But just like you probably have a lawyer and an accountant and a plumber, like, if you need to call in help, call in help. Like, you don't need to sit there and beat yourself up if it's feeling hard. So that's one piece. But the question about what I wish I knew earlier is that you don't have to have all the answers. So you can sort of experiment and figure it out as you go, and give yourself some grace in that experimentation. There's this book I love, Designing Your Life, that brings product thinking to how you make life decisions. It also relates to how you make business decisions. And I just, as a mantra, remind myself, prototype and iterate, prototype and iterate. Try something, see what you learn from trying it, and then try again. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Oh, that just felt like a warm hug to all editors. It was such a good answer. I love that so much. So, Colleen, we're just days away from ACES. You're going to be at ACES, right?
I'm going to be at ACES. And
Yes.
my first time in Salt Lake City. I've never been.
Same. I've never been. So editors, if you're going to be at ACES and you happen to see Colleen, introduce yourself to Colleen. Share your
Please do.
information. She can connect with you. And if you want some advice, you can get your session set up with her. I can't speak highly enough about Colleen and what she did for me and how she helped me. It was amazing. So Colleen, how can our listeners find you? Can you share information? What's the best way for them to connect to you?
You can connect to me in so many ways, but you can go to ColleenNewvine.com and drop me a note. I'm also fairly active on Instagram. So if you're an Insta person, feel free to DM me, just slide into my DMs over there. But you can find out about me on ColleenNewvine.com and drop me an email, and I'd love to help.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see you in Salt Lake City. I can't thank you enough. This was such great, helpful information for editors and freelancers out there. So thank you, Colleen. And everything we discussed, whether it was a book, thought leaders, her website, everything will be in the show notes. So go to the show notes to get all of that information. And thank you again, Colleen. This was just so great.
Oh, I loved it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Editor's Half Hour. This podcast is your go-to resource for editorial trends, opening the discussion for new ideas through the real-life stories of editors. For more information about Nadia Jaja Pupa and her business, visit peakpublishing.com. That's PIQUE publishing.com. And remember to subscribe and follow the Editor's Half Hour wherever you get your podcasts.